Um, Hi, welcome to this channel. Welcome to my channel. Uh, I'm going to tell you my story the way I remember it, exactly how I remember it. Everything that happened from point A to point B. I'm a little nervous, but I plead with you to bear with me. For the purposes of safety, I'm not going to reveal my real identity or where I actually come from, but I'm going to try to keep the locations of these events as real as possible. Unless if they reveal my current location, then I'll omit a few details, but for as long as they don't, the ones far back anyways, I'm going to just say them as they are. So I'm also going to omit the real identities of the people I'm going to be mentioning in this series. And this is your warning if you have some trauma that you haven't healed from, or if you are sensitive, then please do click off this video before it goes deep, because we are going to go deep. We're going to take a head dive. I would also like to mention that I have never received any form of therapy. I would love to, but I haven't. I don't even know if any type of therapy could help me with the problems that I've had to deal with or my trauma. But I'm just going to share my story. Hopefully someday I can print it out in a book, have the confidence to do that. But for now, I'm just going to record it in a series of episodes. And I advise you to watch or listen rather from episode 1 so that you can get the full story of what really happened, how it happened. So let's take a walk together. Dear Diary. My parents didn't like spending the day at home during weekends. Whenever they had the chance to go somewhere during the weekend, they would take it. So because we were a family of we were a big family, we had a house help, and they could go wherever they wanted, and leave us with the house help. That was until we were grown, because when we now were grown, I remember they were like, oh no, there are too many women in this household. None of you need a house help. You're gonna have to help yourselves. Which was good. But back to the story, right? So we're all chilling in the yard, and they were leaving again. They wanted to go somewhere, and I didn't know where. All I remember is that I wanted to go. But they wanted to have this time to themselves. I didn't care. I was a kid. I just wanted to go with my parents, and I was the last child. So I demanded it. They refused me. I demanded it. They refused me. I cried and cried. They still refused, and I ran to the car, and I almost got hurt by the door closing. So they just took me in and went with me. That was the next memory that I have. Actually, that was one of the sweetest memories that I have from my childhood. I think I was around 3.5, 4, somewhere there, but I was still a toddler. Yeah, I was still a toddler. I used to go to this preschool, and this preschool, it was so cool. We had beautiful classes, because to me, sleep was everything. There was nap time, there were movie times. It was so fun in that preschool. I had friends, and I remember there was one time, I don't know what happened that day particularly, but I think my parents were both busy and they forgot to pick me up. So I remember I ended up going to my teacher's home, and I spent my few hours there with her whilst I waited for my dad to come and pick me up. Eventually he did, and that was one of just those beautiful memories that I had and treasured as a child. I really loved them because, yeah, she gave me snacks as I waited and let me watch cartoons till late, which is something that I never really got when I got home because I had a lot of sisters who wanted to watch their own stuff on the same singular television. So watching cartoons at that hour of the day, that was the most blissful thing that I had. Eventually, my dad came, picked me up with some chocolates and yogurts. I really loved the yogurt as a kid, yogurt and chocolate. And whenever they did something to me or when I was upset about something and I was really wronged, I would be rewarded with a chocolate or yogurt. Or whenever we went to these trips, I'll get yogurt. Mostly it was always yogurt and chips and mangoes. Mangoes. Yeah, always got that. So my parents really spoiled me as a kid. They really did. I feel like they gave me the best time because everything that I experienced as a child was just beautiful when I was with my parents. And every day I would have this beautiful thick porridge that was filled with milk. Either I would have that or I would have sandwiches that they looked so cute because it was like a kiddie's meal, cute little sandwich and egg over there. It was colorful. The plate was colorful. And it made me really happy every time to eat that food. Anyway, I grew up as a foodie. I really loved food as a kid. I still do love food till now. Anyway, so yeah, that happened. My dad came to pick me up, and that was the one and only time that they forgot to pick me up. They never did ever again after or before. Anyway, so that was my life pretty much. And then the next memory that I have is the next traumatic memory where I remember we had cousins. We had cousins that we would live with because their parents, who were my aunts, passed away. So since they passed away, my dad would take them in to live with them so that he could raise them as his own, and they could basically have a family. So basically that's what he did. He just absorbed them into our family. So we lived with two of our male cousins. The other one was way old, so he hardly stayed home. He only stayed he was like one of those. He was in his years of being rebellious, right? So I only saw him as being rebellious. You know, I didn't know exactly the extent of what he did until I was grown and I got to know that he was also doing the same exact thing that the younger cousin was doing, but to my older sisters. So they were basically raping us all in the household. uh, as traumatic as that sounds, they just passed us around. I remember. Um, the older one would rape two of my older sisters. Yeah, and the younger one would rape my older sister, the one that I follow. So we were the youngest. And I remember there was one time, I didn't know he was doing that. I was too young to remember everything of every day. But I remember my sister, the one I'm talking about, the one who's older than me, the one I follow, she's 3 years older than me. So I was 4. I was 3.5. So she was 6. She was basically, yeah, 6.5. And she was getting raped by this bigger, older guy who was at least 10, 12 years older than her. And I remember the one time that I got to know what was actually happening in this house. The reason why the house was so gloomy sometimes, weirdly enough. My parents were not home. My sisters were not home either because we used to go to boarding schools. So this time they were at boarding schools. They were at their boarding schools, and it was only left me and my older sister, the one I follow, because we were the youngest. So we're going to preschool. My parents were not home. the house help was also not home at the time. She had gone out to go buy something. So we were left with this cousin of ours, right? The younger one of the two male cousins. And we were in this room that we were in this room. It was the sitting room, still at the hospital compound. We were in the sitting room, and I remember I was watching cartoons. The cartoons playing, and he was with my sister on the couch, but I wasn't looking at them. I was looking at the TV, and he was telling her something. I wasn't really listening. I remember they were just talking behind there. I'm assuming she was refusing because he then came to me and grabbed me and threw me on the table. It was so rough, but I was thinking maybe he's about to play with me and tickle me or something. But no, he didn't. He then pulled my little skirt up and pulled my little panties up down, and he stuck it in. It didn't fit. It didn't fit. He tried to force it. It still didn't, and my sister was crying on the side and screaming at him, trying to push him off. And I was just shocked. I remember feeling shocked. I wasn't crying. I wasn't complaining. I wasn't even saying anything. I was just quiet, looking at him and looking at my sister. And he shoved it. He tried to shove. He literally shoved it that I think at least half of it got in. And I remember my sister saying, okay, I'll do it. And he pulled it out. That was the most confusing, painfuliest moment I felt, because I was confused of what was happening. Is my sister going to be taking this now, and what's happening to me? What's going to happen to me? Why am I experiencing this? I remember asking myself so many questions that I almost forgot to feel the pain of the throbbing pain that was between my thighs, because that was very confusing. I didn't know what I was feeling down there. I just remember not feeling okay. And then he pushed me out of the sitting room and he closed the door